I don't know that it's gonna be like, so Gmail.
That is legit, right? The only reason I asked is I think that came out yesterday.
Shut up. No, the register has it on the 2nd.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
No.
Then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh my God, why are we recording today?
Maybe it's legit. That's why I asked. Like, no, it does say 4.2 on the register thing. So
okay, I'm going to topic box.
I just thought I saw it somewhere yesterday.
Okay.
If it's real, it's real. That's good.
Ryan Sipes posted it originally. Hello, TP planning. Some of you may have already blah 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 on the 28th.
All right.
Okay, so he's talking about Thunderbird appointment, Thunderbird send, Thunderbird assist, Thundermail. Email service, want to provide email accounts, blah, blah, blah. I'll be happy to pay for it. I mean, how much could an email inbox cost?
Coming up in this episode, the Thunder rolls. We flatten out the history and package up our experience. Hello and welcome to Linux User Space. I'm Dan.
And I'm Leo. And Dan, did you hear the newest of the new nudes?
I did actually, and I'm kind of pumped about it. I think I can get behind this.
Yeah, so Thunderbird just announced that what good is an email client without an email address to go with it? And
exactly.
To that end, Thundermail is going to be an email hosting service that Thunderbird is going to be rolling out for its users. Okay, so I can hear it already. Stop it, Thunderbird. Just worry about the email client, and that's it. Well, over the past 5 years, Thunderbird has lost somewhere in the ballpark of about 1 million users. That's a lot of users. And I don't know if you noticed, but Thunderbird has been focusing on the browser for the longest little bit. Case in point, Supernova, that new fancy front-end workup that they did, it's amazing. Lots of performance improvements.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it still kind of chokes when I don't open a specific Thunderbird like on a machine I haven't played with in a little while, and so it's got to like download 700 messages.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it does some of that though pretty efficiently, even on a big download like that.
It does, and they've actually made some improvements on it too. But this is actually a question that I've had for quite a long time. With Outlook, you kind of rolled your own, right? Like you were kind of expected to have your own on-premises email, or you paid someone else to do it. And now with more and more cloud services being out there, it's just kind of a de facto thing. Like, well, you just have one and you're running on a Windows machine. So you already have Outlook. One of the issues they've had is like, which Outlook are you talking about? Because there are multiple ones. But I think that's something that that is important to have back behind there, because with Gmail, you have a client and an account. Well, now with Thundermail, you have a client and an account. So I think it really it finishes the equation for Thunderbird, and it brings new people into the fold. Because I think the problem with just focus on the whatever, because Firefox gets that argument all the time.
Right.
Is that there's nothing you could do to a browser. Nothing you could do that would bring people into the fold. What could you possibly do to the browser that would bring in new meat, not the privacy-focused privacy hawks? New, fresh meat to a browser. How would you do that? What would you implement into a browser?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I got nothing.
Well, they did AI. Everybody hated that.
Right.
The people that are just focused on the browser people hated that.
I didn't think it's bad, but yeah, sure.
And then you focus that same lens on Thunderbird. What could you possibly add to an Outlook that would make people just say, "Oh my God, I need Outlook"? I mean, same with Thunderbird. What could you possibly add? I don't think there's anything except services to go behind the client that would attract people to then use the client.
So I agree with that. And some of I think that's probably what I'm most excited about is some of the things they're talking about adding because they can have their own service, right? So
yes,
that enhances that client so much when you can have those technological advances too. The problem with Firefox is, well, it's surfing the web, which is supposed to be an open standard, and you don't have that same control, right?
Not if you give Google the reins, boy. It's going to be the Chromium standard, not the web standard.
And it's not the Mozilla standard, right?
Yeah.
So whereas this can actually, I think, have some impact. You can play around with some of those, I guess, fancier mail technologies. Not that mail is advanced a ton, but I mean, you can play around with some things and maybe get a little better experience out of it because you have control of the end-to-end experience.
Right. And I think that's really kind of the important part, right? So like Thunderbird doesn't have to now just continuously like catch up with all of the crazy features that maybe Gmail would implement or Office 365 would implement. Because that's really all Thunderbird's been able to do is like the users are using this particular service and they're not getting the correct experience. So Thunderbird now has to add that. Now with a Thundermail, they're going to be able to do some of that on their own, and there's going to be some. I'm assuming there's going to be some good Thundermail, Thunderbird integration with features that only Thundermail has, or you know, just being able to build the email client in tandem with the email service, giving you that tight integration, which again would then, maybe I will try Thundermail, maybe or Thunderbird. Maybe it is a better solution.
Yeah, I agree. And so some of these bullet points that we've got here, I think, are definitely highlighting where you can take it next.
Yes.
And so the first one up is the Thunderbird appointment. So that's a scheduling tool, obviously. And so you can kind of share calendars and book events on other people's calendar. Much like you can do in Microsoft land with things like Microsoft Bookings or something like that, right? So, and sharing calendars is kind of cool. I know you can do some of that with Gmail, and like you can give permissions and whatnot, but this is a way to do it right there in your client, the Thunderbird client. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I think about being at work and the easiest way for people to kind of get a hold of me. And I think, because I look at my calendar all day long, stuff pops up on there all the time.
Yeah.
And because I'm staring at it all the time, I think this is such a great way to, I would say, at least at work, to get a hold of me. Is just, take that 15-minute block and just slap it on there.
Yeah.
If it works with me, I'm going to click the go, and then we're gonna do our thing. So I think it's just a nice, neat, little, easy way to kind of make some of that communication work.
Yep.
But another thing is Thunderbird Assist. Now, so we talked about adding AI, and that's not going to please everybody.
No, definitely not.
Thunderbird Assist is an AI service that's going to support local inference. So basically, you're going to run the model locally if you've got the hardware for it. But they've also got an agreement with a company called Flower Labs that will do all of the AI jazz for you in the cloud if you don't have the hardware to do it locally. Now, I've got the hardware to do it locally, so I'm a go for all of this.
Yeah. Well, so the Flower Labs thing, that's like, it's supposedly privacy focused. So that's good. It's like, if I'm going to have something that's hosted in the cloud, I want it to
No
be
one will ever believe them, though.
kind of private. Well, probably not, because it's not
No
in your
one.
control.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
no
I
one
guess
that you need to convince of it, I guess, would believe any of that.
I think it's a good way to go. And then the other thing is, they've got some like heavy NVIDIA compute backing that stuff up. Which, I mean, yeah, a lot more machines are coming with AI neural processing units and stuff. But not everybody has that, and
Right.
This lets you take advantage of those things.
Oh, see, all you got to do is get a Mac, and and you'll have it all built in, or the Snapdragon chips, which I'm starting to see some of those laptops are coming down in price.
Yeah.
$100, $200 off now. I'm still holding out for a framework, though. Get me a framework with an ARM processor and a neural thingamajig, and you better believe I'm going to be summarizing emails. Will I read the summaries? No, because I don't think I don't like the idea of summarizing
I don't think either
emails.
of us do. Yeah.
No, because because I think all the time, like, what emails do I ask for? And all the time, it's from you that's listening. Now I ask for those emails.
I don't want a summary of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would feel icky if I summarized any of that. I asked for it. Why would I summarize that? So I'm not the guy. That's the target for Thunderbird Assist, but I guess I could see it can be useful if for some reason on a very regular basis you just get paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs of emails that aren't very important to you, but yet you still have to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to give you the too long didn't read summary. Hopefully, that's halfway decent, and there could be some things that could be useful for.
Right, and for web pages that I begrudgingly read, that's a great use case for Mozilla's Orbit, and I do use it for that way, and it also does cool translations for you and stuff like that. So I suppose. This is going to do...
If you get an influx of foreign language emails that you can't necessarily parse in your head, it could be handy for that.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't we get one? We got one.
We may have.
Yeah. And then we ended up having to throw it into a bunch of translators.
Yes. No, I did. We did throw that into a translation thing. I think I understood some of it, but I mean,
right.
Not enough to totally have a good summary of it. And so, I think we did throw that into some translation thing.
Exactly. So if Thunderbird Assist is half as good as Mozilla Orbit, then I suppose
that could be handy.
We can shoehorn it into some kind of use case, and if you send us an email that is not in English, maybe that's it, right? But
I mean, and then definitely if you stray away from like the romantic languages, I'm really gonna struggle.
Yeah, exactly, right. But there's one more service that is on the tip of Thunderbird's tongue, and it is one of my favorite services from back in the day that just happened to die because of abuse. I don't know if y'all remember Firefox Send, but
up out of the ashes here. Yeah.
It was a fantastic service that died too early. You just dragged and dropped a file. It gave you a link. You gave the link to a friend, and the friend could download the file. The end. Simple service.
It was, and I think this is a good pairing to go with email. And hear me out. This, like, you got a file that's too big to attach, because that happens a lot, right? Email's limited in the size that you can send. So you got this big file that you want to attach, but you can't attach because it's too big. This is a great pairing. Just give the link inside the email and say, click this and download the thing that I want to give you. And
exactly.
Email is so much. It's ripe for this. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Gmail solved the problem in the same way, right? If the attachment is just too big, it just ends up like linking you to Google Drive and then sharing it that way.
And so Outlook does that with OneDrive if you have that. So I think this is a great pairing that's independent of those things that we want to stray from.
Yep. So this is exactly what I meant earlier about creating the services that tie in with Thunderbird directly, and then sell those services.
Yeah.
And people that are already buying or are looking to buy email services or these types of services may just jump on board. But just focusing on the client, I don't think that's going to do it. So
yeah, because they've already polished it up and made it look nice, and gave you that great onboarding experience, but it didn't draw the people in.
Right. So I think this is going to be a good one. I think so. Right now, it looks like there's going to be they're shaping up to be a Thunderbird Pro subscription that you're going to subscribe to, and then you get access to all of this stuff. I need to know how much this is.
Yeah, Leo's at the shut up and take my money point.
Yeah, I heard Thundermail and that it was going to be a privacy-focused email service by Thunderbird. I didn't even hear the other 3 things yet. I just heard Thundermail and was like, yeah, exactly. What could that possibly be? $2 to $5 a month or something like that? Yeah. And then they're like, oh, we also do the appointment thing, the assist thing, and the send thing too. And I'm like, just value add? I was already sold. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be great. I'm chomping at the bit at this. It's kind of got that early Gmail excitement for me.
Yeah.
Because I think they said something, maybe, I don't know that this is for sure, but tb.com is going to be the email domain.
Well, that's one of the options, I think. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'll pay for that. I will pay for that.
Yep.
So I don't. We'll see. We'll see how this shapes up. But these 4 things alone are really kind of enough for me to just kind of nod my head and say, yeah, I'll give that a shot. I'll do that for a few months, and if it's good, I'm gonna hang on to it forever. Especially since they're coming out with a Thunderbird for iOS. I have tinkered with it on an Android device for a little bit, but since it's not my daily driver, I don't use it enough to really have a good, well-rounded opinion of how Thunderbird is working on mobile. But
it works better than Gmail for me. I can tell you that. That's for sure. And so that in it of itself, and then the fact that I can add all the other accounts that I have in there and just kind of flip back and forth between the accounts really easily, or you can have a unified inbox if that's your choice. So
yeah,
my experience on that is just fantastic, and we've been rocking that for a while now.
But I'm still waiting for the one on iOS. That way I can daily drive it. I can really give a good experience of it. But yeah, until then. But if these 2 things come out at the same time, the iOS Thunderbird and then Thunder Email and Friends, man,
that would make
sense. It's going to be really hard to pry me away from that ecosystem. This is one ecosystem I'd love to dive into and be locked into. Yeah. I'd be okay being locked into a company like Mozilla, MZLA, right, who is the parent company of Thunderbird.
Yeah.
That ecosystem, okay. Oh no, you have to pay an extra $1 or $2 a month for your VPN, but it's integrated in. It's nice. It's good. There's a reason to go with stuff like that. And yeah, they're just giving me more and more and more and more reason to do it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, make sure to go do that. The bell thing, subscribe button somewhere, probably. I don't know. Maybe here, maybe there. I don't know. I don't think about it enough because in my camera I'm backwards, and then it's backwards again when I edit the video, and then the subscribe button is
on the
around
page.
there somewhere.
It's on the page.
Yeah, below me for sure. So yeah, go click on the subscribe button. Click on the bell if you want notifications. We do. We post all of our videos out on YouTube, obviously the entire episode, but then we go back and chop up the little bits because I know that sometimes it's hard to sit there and watch an entire hour thing. So instead, if you don't have time for the whole entire thing, or you just get distracted in the middle of it, we cut up and publish each individual topic.
Yeah, all the segments. Yep.
That's right. So you can go and just watch the individual segments, though I will say you do miss some bits when you do that. You don't get the cool cold open at the front. You don't get the thing at the back, and you miss some of the in between segment banter.
Yes.
But if you're just looking for the info, if you're just looking for the entertainment, that's what it's going to be.
Just the facts. Yep.
Just the facts, man. And also, the history that we're coming up to in just a second is going to show up over on TillVids as well as YouTube. But since TillVids is the center for edutainment, you're going to see the Flatpak history show up over there, as well as all of our other histories. And I think we got an interview out there as well.
I think we did. Yep.
So if you're looking for just that kind of content, you can just follow us on TillVids from anywhere on the Fediverse and get notifications whenever those videos actually come out. But of course, those videos wouldn't exist without the help of you, our dear patrons. So whether you are not a patron, a free tier patron, a $1, $3, $5, or $10 patron, thank you so much.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it.
Whatever it is that you can give, even if that giving is just showing up. Really appreciate that. But don't forget that if you do actually send a little bit of money our way, we don't just take that and run. The dollar tier is going to get your name in the credits. It's also going to get you an account over on our Lemmy instance. Not just any Lemmy instance, our Lemmy instance. So you get to have linuxuserspace.show at the end of your handle. You can go support that anywhere on the entire Fediverse. The $3 tier is going to get you the show before anybody else gets the show and in high quality. Yep. The $5 tier is going to get you all of that, as well as the audio of the show before the show. And today's show before the show was like over an hour.
It's about, I was going to say a little over an hour, maybe. Yeah.
We had to hash out a lot of stuff, including when we think this season might end.
Yeah, and what we plan to cram into it.
Exactly. And if you do the $10, you also get everything that I mentioned before, but you also get to sit in here, right here, as we're recording this right now and watch it live as we're doing it. That's all the flubs and all the everything else, everything live on video.
Yeah, and throw your 2 cents in every now and then, on top of your $10 that you've already donated.
It's basically a live stream. And then on top of that, if you aren't able to sit in here with us while we actually do this, we give you the recording afterward, all the videos, all the flubs, all the comments, all the banter, all the everything from the moment we press record to the moment we say bye. So anyway, like I said, there's that free tier, right? That's the show.
That gets you some notifications. It gets you the show. It gets you, gets you into the community. Yes.
That's right. You don't need to pay for any of that. But we like it when you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
In the previous history, we explored where Ubuntu's Snap packages and its phone-based sister solution called ClickApps came from. And if you've never dug back into the history, it's easy to think that Snap, AppImage, and today's history, Flatpak, are really the only types of solutions Linux has to offer when it comes to getting applications and not really caring how they got there. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Earlier attempts like AutoPackage by Mike Hearn back in 2002 attempted to solve the problem of applications being fully dependent on the underlying system. Or in other words, avoiding dependency hell while still successfully launching apps. While AutoPackage isn't around in its original form today, what with it merging with Listaller, an install and manage everything app, and then eventually becoming part of AppStream, a cross-platform attempt at streamlining software installation, its essence can be found as a building block in Snap, Flatpak, and AppImage. So if you squint just right, all three of the solutions to our little problem are just re-implementations of the same technology with slight differences, as it always is in open source. Flatpak has its roots in an attempt by Alexander Larsen to recreate an existing solution called Click. No, not Ubuntu's Click. This Click starts with a K and ends with a K for KDE, but avoids some of the pitfalls and limitations. It was called Glick. Oh yes, when the focus is technology and solutions, naming always takes a back seat. But it could also be that the very first version of this was imagined on a beach and put together nearby. It was a quick hack, but Larsen hoped that it might give the Click developers some ideas and maybe influence their second version. But it didn't stop there. A few days later, more hacking ensued, and 0.1 and 0.2 versions were released that solved a lot of the initial problems. Over the next few weeks, but surely with thoughts and touches here and there, Glick fell to the back burner. It took a few years, 4 to be exact, but Glick was now nearing a version 2, and it got a more friendly front-end name, Bundles, which made a whole lot more sense, and got its very own demo video. Initially, Bundles worked a whole lot like AppImage does today, and that makes sense as Click, the initial inspiration for Glick and its bundles, is the predecessor to AppImage. The idea was simple. You would download a single bundle file, which has everything in the actual application you'd want to run bundled within, stick it in the apps folder, and it was then, in air quotes of course, installed on your system. This is very much the way applications work on Mac OS. The experience makes sense and might even be described as intuitive to folks that have been on desktops and laptops for a while. It also solves a lot of issues that even modern Linux still struggles with, like mismatched library versions, everybody having a different set of underlying system components, a slim possibility of running the same application at different versions, and many more little oddities. At the time, Larsen said of the larger problem,
I imagine a system where the OS is a well-defined set of non-optional core libraries, services, and apps. The OS is shipped as a read-only image that gets loopback mounted at the root partition during early boot. So not only does everyone have the same files, they are using and testing exactly the same bits. We can do semi-regular updates by replacing the image, keeping the old one for easy rollback, and we can do security hotfixes by bind mounting over individual files.
and applications then start to take shape on this new idea.
All applications are shipped as bundles, single files that contain everything, libraries, files, tools, etc. the application depends on. Except they can, optionally, depend on things from the OS platform. Bundles are self-contained so they don't interact with other bundles that are installed. This means that if a bundle works once, it will always keep working as long as the platform is ABI stable as guaranteed. Running new apps is as easy as downloading and clicking a file. Installing them is as easy as dropping them in a known directory.
So not only do you have Glick and bundles as an example of how application can be separate from the underlying system forming here, you have the fledgling idea of what we know today as an atomic desktop, which aligns closer to modern mobile devices. And while regular folks that don't care much about the how of the application can check out of that entire conversation, for them, we can boil it down to download this thingy, put it here, and now you can run it. But of course, any idea worth using will always have folks wanting to debate its merits, and this is a good thing. Adam Williamson defended the already existing packaging systems by noting that bundling libraries defeats the entire purpose when you duplicate libraries the way these bundles will.
That's the point of a library. It's shared code, so we only have to update it once to fix all the applications that use it. If we have to update 30 different bundles when we fix a library bug, what's the point of having libraries at all?
And then Larsen responded,
Sure, updating libraries and apps is more work in a bundle world, but due to a large degree, it's solvable by better tooling. In my opinion, the large system where everything interacts is optimized for the distro packager, not for the actual users of applications. It's somehow more important that we have 0 wasted bytes or wasted effort during packaging than actual user getting an application that he can use.
Glick and bundles were certainly a good idea. Linux needed a solution, but it wasn't meant to be quite yet. Over the next couple of years in the run-up to 2014, as Docker and other container solutions began hitting the market, Larson had been working on bringing Docker to Red Hat, and with his new container experience, took another look at this whole software building thing, and by the end of the year, a working solution was found. It was called xdg-app, and relied on OSTree, the same technology found in the Fedora Atomic OSs, and was, yes, another very Linuxy name.
The name xdg-app was just something I picked for the first commit without much consideration, and it was not very good. However, names are hard, and we spent a lot of time trying to come up with another.
A few months later, GNOME Software gave xdg-app some legs by allowing applications to be installed as almost any other app. And in May of 2016, the xdg-app name was shed and replaced with Flatpak, the name we all know today, at version 0.6, and brought along a friend, xdg-app helper, which was meant to do the security sandboxing. And shortly after, XDG Desktop Portal came along to help applications break out of their sandboxes for specific tasks. All of this, along with the last release of 2016 in December, version 0.8, which just happened to be a stable, long-term release, got it accepted into both Debian and Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which meant that it immediately had penetration into some of the most popular downstream distributions around. And of course, there's always Arch support. The press release that landed a few weeks later noted that Fedora, Endless OS, and the software company Collabora were all on board. At this point, while you could easily crack open the command line, use the Flatpak commands to search around for your application of choice, or even use the fledgling support and software managers shipped with desktops, there wasn't a clear way to go get applications for the uninitiated. But the answer wasn't far away. FlatHub, the central repository for applications, made its debut in mid-2017 ahead of the 0.10 version release that would show up in October. While GNOME Software already had support, KDE's Discover found its support of Flatpak 2, marking a huge milestone in ease of use across the 2 most used desktops in the Linux ecosystem. The following year, Flatpak saw its first major version milestone at 1.0. Larson noted,
"With 1.0 out, I expect the rate of change in Flatpak itself to slow down. Going forward, the focus will be more on the infrastructure around it. Things like getting 1.0 into all distributions, making portals work well, ensuring FlatHub works smoothly and keeps growing, improving our test suites, and working on the runtimes."
And that's largely stayed true. The core and supporting tech was mostly already built, and now the work to get everybody on it truly begins. But it didn't really take much convincing. Early adopters of containerized apps had largely already picked a side, for better or worse. Slowly but surely, big application developer names were jumping on board. In 2020, Firefox issued their official Flatpak build to FlatHub at version 75. And in 2022, OBS, the screen recording and streaming software, announced their official application would live at FlatHub as well for all Linuxes. The following year, though, saw Ubuntu, one of the largest Linux distros, pull back on Flatpak support by not allowing their flavors like Kubuntu or Ubuntu Mate to install it out of the box in favor of their own solution, Snaps, but didn't prevent anybody from going out of their way to add it later. This did mean that flavors like Xubuntu, which were shipping Flatpak by default, would need to pull back too. However, that wouldn't affect distributions like Linux Mint and Elementary OS, which are downstream of Ubuntu and added support for Flatpak years ago. Also that year, Thunderbird, the well-known open source email client was added to the ranks of officially official on FlatHub. Over time, more and more applications will officially add themselves as a Flatpak over on FlatHub, but at least to me, it's clear that of people that actually care where their apps come from and don't mind the containerized type, Flatpaks from FlatHub are the clear winner.
You can catch all the great topics as they unfold over on our Lemmy subreddit and our news channel on Discord. We are all over the place on the internet, and if you want to find where we are, you can type linuxuserspace.show/thething. So Lemmy, Reddit, Discord, Mastodon, Telegram, the list goes on. We're pretty much everywhere, and we're at Linux User Space. That's where you'll find us.
Absolutely. So join all of those places, any of those places, one of those places to keep up with the happenings and have a conversation and do all of that kind of stuff. One of the things that I know that I'm getting really close to doing is getting everybody gathered up for a Civilization 6 game.
Ooh.
Yep. I haven't forgotten. I promise. And I actually did do a test run of it.
Okay.
It seems to be a little flaky when you get it started. Like everybody has to be there at the exact same time. Time zones are going to suck. But if we can get it all started, then it's basically just a Steam notification or email away.
All right.
Apparently, with a little bit of work, you can even get a Discord webhook where there could just be a Civ channel, and then it just reminds us. But I don't think there's like an easy way to do that. I think you would have to roll a bit of that yourself. But
maybe I can help you out with that.
Okay, you heard it. Dan said he'd do it. Okay.
Whoa. I think I said help.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in Civ, join one of those places, preferably Discord, because I think that's where this thing is gonna.
That'll be a great place for it to live, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, if because gaming, right?
Right.
But also that webhook thing. If we can get that implemented or whatever, that might be the easiest place to see when it's your turn. But anyway, I'm planning on doing more of that stuff, getting more of this stuff together, doing more community things, especially since it's summertime, and sometimes that means we go on break. So anyway,
and I got one of those little portable devices that Steam stuff. So I mean, hello, I can take that wherever I go.
And Civ runs pretty well.
It does run pretty well.
Matter of fact, Civ runs on everything.
It's almost the new Doom.
Pretty much. I think I haven't successfully run it on a literal potato yet, but I'm working on it.
Yep. We'll get
maybe. The multimeter says no.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
In every Linux everything, there's always a discussion of which one is better, because there is this absolutely no shortage of what a lot of people call fragmentation. I look at that thing as a good thing. I've been recorded on the internet as saying more than one distro, more than two distros. No, there can never be enough distros. So if you're thinking of making a new distro, make a new distro. And that is against the grain of...
Yeah, you need to be unique if you're doing that.
But I take that further. No, you don't. No, you don't. I respect Hannah Montana Linux very much.
Well, that's unique.
It's just got wallpapers. I don't know that it's bringing anything technologically to the forefront here except for Hannah Montana pictures.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't know. It's unique, just the same.
But this is another one of those topics that you just cannot have full consensus on.
Will we ever? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think people are morally and ethically opposed to snaps in some way. So, you can't do the snap thing. and a lot of those people, if they're okay with a containerized packaging system, then Flatpak may be their go-to way, but people are still opposed to Flatpak a lot of times. And again, if they're okay with a containerized solution, then kind of lean toward AppImage as the way to do this thing.
Yeah. I think those are the three primary choices, we'll say.
Anymore.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned in the history, they all kind of have a bit of shared lineage with AppStream, which was ListStaller, which was, I forget its name.
Glick and Click and Click.
Yeah, AutoPackage. yeah. So AutoPackage merged with ListStaller, which then became parts of AppStream, and AppStream is within all three.
And it's in other distro packaging stuff too.
Exactly. So you find AppStream absolutely everywhere. So, this, I think, right here, this is why fragmentation is fantastically required by everything all the time. Because sometimes you really, truly just do not know where the next big thing is going to come from. And if you install software almost in any way on any Linux distribution, you have to think AutoPackage, ListStaller, and AppStream for it. It is a huge part of the way that we get around in software. And no one in 2002 could have ever guessed that it was going to be that deeply ingrained. That technology was going to peter out, yet be integrated in such an integral way in almost every single Linux that you can get your hands on.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's imperative. Fragmentation is imperative, even though it may not tickle your particular application's itch, or competing application or competing technologies itch. I think you're going to find more often than not the fragmentation is going to, you're going to find good stuff out of all that fragmentation.
Yeah, so that, fragmentation is a double-edged sword. It does give you that, it fosters that idea of, the new things. But it can also, lead to a bad experience, especially for those folks that may not be as technical and don't really care. They just I just want Discord. I don't care where I get it from, how I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want it to work, right? And so, they fire up their app store or whatever they have. They just go to the command line, whatever it takes, and they try to get it installed. And sometimes you get surprised as to what you get and where you get it from potentially.
Yes.
So it can lead to that. It doesn't mean that you can't have a good experience, though, if you pick one of these and you go with it. And so I think from a pragmatic standpoint, when you don't care about, what technology is behind it all, I think all three of them will pretty much get you where you want to be.
I do think so. And, you were kind of alluding to it, but one of the more recent examples of where this, and not necessarily Flatpak fragmentation, but store fragmentation.
Right.
So you have FlatHub, which is usually the main repository for just about everything Flatpak, but Fedora maintains their own Fedora Flatpak store. We just covered this in the previous episode about OBS and how a little bit of headbutting got to a good solution, but not before a bunch of people were, and I hesitate to use the word hurt, but were inconvenienced.
They had some problems. Yeah, they bumped into some issues.
Right, by a broken version of OBS that was not actually broken. It was broken as a result of being packaged differently in the Fedora Flatpak store, as opposed to OBS's, crowned and christened version that lived over on FlatHub. So a lot of that got straightened out. I think instead of, and I still don't understand, but instead of not packaging OBS anymore, Fedora promised to just package it better.
Better, yeah.
Right.
Which is okay. I mean, you want to have your own, and I get why they really want the Fedora contributors really want their own place to go to continue to contribute packages. But for the Fedora ecosystem, so they wanted to have their own. They do want to have their own store for that, and that makes sense to me. It's kind of a curated Fedora place to go to get your stuff. That's okay.
But that
not saying
application specifically, though.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. I get the existence of the Fedora Flatpak store.
Right.
Just that one app is the thing that I'm taking issue with.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what you put there, what you don't put there. I mean, it all depends on what the contributor wants to put in there, essentially.
I think there's a pretty good and easy way to kind of delineate that, right? Like when you run up against that, do I put it there? Don't I put it there? I don't know. Is there an answer? I think in some cases there are, and that answer tends to be if there is a version that the developer themselves says, yeah, that's the one, then don't package it. Don't put it anywhere. At least as far as Flatpak is concerned, don't put it anywhere else.
Yeah. Unless you've got some things, some value add that's specific for, let's say Fedora in this case. I can see some reasoning to package your own thing. Potentially. Well, and let's go here. I think, Elementary still has their own store too, right? Their own Flatpak store, no?
They do, but again, I think a lot of the developers are putting stuff there on purpose. Like,
because it's elementary type stuff. Yeah,
exactly. This is
that's
stuff
where I was going
for
with that.
it's for elementary. You can get it anywhere, you can use it anywhere, but it's for elementary.
Right.
So you can get it through Elementary's actual store.
Totally makes sense, right? I mean, that's kind of why that exists, is so that you can do that sort of thing.
Right.
And so that's pretty cool. I think it's great that you can do that with Flatpaks, which is obviously a little different than the snaps. You got one place to put those, and not that you can't use them elsewhere. It's just there's only one place to put them.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as I understand, there is no other implementation of a Snap store just yet, right?
Yeah, nothing public. I mean, they've done some proof of concept things to be able to do your own, and you can, I guess, based on the proof of concept.
Right. And that's kind of how it was,
but
right?
That's all it is, right?
Canonical was like, you totally can. Look at all that documentation. Bye. That was it, right?
Yeah. And I think somebody did do it or whatever, but it was just, like I said, just a proof of concept.
Yeah. There were a lot of things that were missing out of it. So there is no real alternative. And I do respect that that Flatpak gives you the ability to do that. And it seems to be easy enough that, Fedora has one, Elementary has one, FlatHub is one. It sounds like it's easy enough that even the developer themselves could just have one for their app and associated libraries and runtimes, I think is what it's called, right? Like, bundle of libraries.
And so, like, I think, I don't remember what it was, but I've actually installed Flatpaks, not from a repository at all, kind of downloaded the whole thing and then installed it, much like you would an app image.
I'm sorry,
it was just,
what?
Yeah, no, it worked. It was weird, but
how do you do that?
I don't remember now, but I totally did it. I did it once. I could probably do it again, but I don't even remember what I was trying.
That's kind of cool.
It was something that they just were in development with, basically. It hadn't quite got to publish stage, but like, here you go. You can try it if you want. And
my question would be in a situation like that. Like, let's take OBS because we were just talking about it. Could I install that like independent bundled version through Flatpak, but then also get the official OBS Flatpak from?
I would imagine yes, because
and then run them side by side.
Maybe. They'd be long as they're named different, probably. Or have something different about them. I bet you can, because the other thing is, like, when you install it that way, it obviously does not update itself either, because it's not published, right?
Exactly. Right. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it'd be a fully manual process, kind of like how app images are.
Yeah, very similar to that. Yeah.
Unless the developer of that app image, not of app
actually
image
made
itself,
a
but
repository.
of that app image, right, had a hook in the app image that would then reach out and download the new one and replace itself. There's no way outside of manual intervention to actually get updates on those things.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept. Yeah.
Right. And so I certainly appreciate that there's the Snap Store and FlatHub kind of really just do that for you. I mean, that infrastructure ain't free.
No.
And yet here I can just go and download whatever I want to and update it as many times as I want to, all the time, all day, every day.
Well, think of all the machines that are hitting that, just looking for updates all the time, right? That just takes a ton of bandwidth.
Exactly. So I'm very thankful that that it's not, because I install Linux so many times and I install so much stuff all the time. And for this particular episode, I installed a whole lot of Flatpaks. Okay, full disclosure, they were already installed.
But I have a pile of Flatpaks, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'd say most of my desktop applications get installed that way.
Yes, it is.
For the most part.
And this is kind of the last line of the history, right? Like, it's, to my eyes, from what I read, from what I see, from all of the news articles, when you hear about goings on, it always seems to me that the canonical solutions, specifically Snap, kind of just get a groan out of a lot of people. I mean, certainly there are people that don't care, right? That's the majority of people.
If I'm using it, I can tell you I don't care.
Right. But I guess to people that are kind of steeped into the technical discussion of what's good and what's bad, it does seem to me that Flatpak it glows. Flatpak has a glow that Snap just doesn't have. But again, like, if you don't care, then you don't care. And it makes no difference. It's all they all run. It doesn't really matter when you peel it all the way back. It's only if you have a problem with the distribution method or the fact that they're slightly larger than their Debian binary counterparts. But yeah, I think Flatpak gets a lot of passes that Snap just doesn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And I fall into that category, and it's not because of any of the traditional reasons, I guess. Right? Like, I don't care that the store is proprietary. I mean, okay, proprietary, right? I don't particularly. Yeah, I can't think of a really good reason to not use Snaps. I think my only real beef with it is that it burned me in the past because the calculator took too long to open.
Yeah, and like some of those times have changed, obviously.
It's fine now.
Technology improvements and whatnot, right? Yeah.
But I guess it was like, I was burned at a very strategic time in my containerized application adoptment phase, and Flatpak burned me less.
But there are things in Flatpak that burned people cheese them off just as much.
Yep.
The size thing is not withstanding there. I mean, like some of those early ones, they didn't bother to link any of the onboard libraries, if you will, and it just like they were, the initial install on some of those were huge. They were multiple gig files, and so you're like, holy cow. I don't know. Gone are the days of tiny hard drives. We're moved on, and bigger drives. Really,
can you even buy 128 gig SSD anymore?
You probably can. You probably, like an NVMe or something. You probably could, just because you're going to get some speed realization out of that. More, but I bet you got to hunt for it. I bet it's not easy. 256 is probably more the norm.
Yeah, pretty much anytime I ever look for NVMEs, it's like the default is 512 and it's like $45. So
yeah. Well, at this point, stuff's cheap. But I mean, I guess you could have a little bit of an older machine. So 256, I'll give you that. That's probably your budget friendly size, if you will.
But yeah, so I would say after a few updates, after a few library changes, and you don't use there's a Flatpak to like get rid of all the cruft that kind of generates a little bit. I could not imagine it getting anywhere near the 50 gig mark after installing all of that and updating it a few times.
Just the apps,
yeah, just the apps. So I think it's I don't know that unless you're really running on super duper small hard drives, that argument really holds a whole heck of a lot of water.
But I guess what are you going to do anyway if you want those applications? You're going to install them. I mean, they're still going to take up some space.
Right. Yeah, so you have to do the Delta, less, right?
You don't have, maybe a little less because you don't have all the libraries, I suppose. At least not duplicated on your system.
There it is,
but
right.
They still exist. It still adds, and it still brings in other dependencies. So, it's going to increase. It's just, I don't know what the delta between the two different formats are. But I bet it's not as big as people make it out to be.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other experiment that we got to do. So Snap and then Flatpak, and if we can get them in app images, it might be interesting to try and go there. But I don't know if all those applications.
Well, those are going to be fairly large too, because they're coming along with the same stuff. Really, yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think after the first couple of Flatpaks, it's just kind of a wash because you're reusing. You don't reuse it all, but you are reusing a whole lot of it.
Yeah, because they can share things. Yeah, some stuff.
Right. So I don't know. I've been using Flatpaks about as long as I've been using Snaps because I think it was maybe 0.6 or something where I started using Flatpaks, and I think they've generally treated me better. Flatpak fixed the weird looking mouse issue. Snap still has that issue in some apps. I'll need to get a list of apps together, which it doesn't.
I got some Flatpaks that do that too, though.
I can fix it in Flatpak though. Yes, it's annoying.
The ones that really get me are the GTK things, and that's a GTK problem. It's not a Flatpak or a Snap problem.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So just looking weird in a KDE environment.
Yeah, exactly. The cursor being a little weird or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I see what. Okay. Yeah. That. Maybe that's actually what it is. Maybe it's that like if I'm on a GTK desktop and then I install Qt stuff, then maybe that's where the mouse.
Yeah, probably. It's just the differences there, right? But the other thing is the window, tools and the window border and all that stuff is a little different, but. I don't know. People get hung up on appearances a little too much, I feel like. I mean,
I think so.
It's probably good to have some quality control, but I mean, ultimately, does it stop the thing from functioning?
Yeah. No, it does not. And I kind of hand waved it away, I think, in the last episode, maybe, because I mentioned how, I'm born of Windows 95 and sometimes stuff just looked weird or whatever.
Well, have you used Windows applications lately? They don't all match.
No, they're much more consistent.
They are,
though. I think because
just
they
like
force
all the Linux ones, though, right?
Well, because of the Advait thing, I think Windows is consistent the way that no maps, Advait apps are consistent, right? Like you can play around with it.
Consistent within Windows.
Go look
at some of those older menu things.
Yeah, you can still pull up the old control panel, and it's still wonky looking in the rest of the environment.
It looks out of place. So
I truly don't mind.
It's just not a unique problem. It's definitely not as much as people make it out to be. It's like some people lose their mind, and they should not.
Yeah, there's not a single desktop that really has the amount of consistency that I think the people that are complaining about that require. Nothing. Nothing in existence would.
Yep.
Yeah. No. You'd have to write your own, and even then,
good luck.
There's a lot of work ahead of you. Yeah, for sure. But I've been using Flatpaks forever. They are my choice. They're my containerized application of choice. And that does not seem to be changing at all. in the near future. I don't know what would have to happen for Flatpak to just fall out of favor with me.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, I really don't. It's not like I go out of my way to pick that necessarily. I typically use whatever the distro that I'm on likes to promote.
Right.
And it just happens to be that the one that we've stuck with, or at least that I've stuck with here for the longest in the last little bit, sort of highlights that. It's an immutable, so I mean, you're going to pick some sort of sandbox type thingy, probably a universal package format.
Yeah, maybe that's actually the driver.
Unless you're layering stuff on, you're going to pick something.
Maybe that's actually the biggest reason why I use Flatpak the most, because Linux Mint adopted it early.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yep.
And then I've gravitated toward the Atomics, and those just have them. The underlying system uses the same OS tree technology. So, of course, they're going to gravitate toward the Flatpaks. And so maybe I've just lived in the distro ecosystem that favors Flatpak, and that's why I've made that choice.
And I think that's it for me, too.
Absolutely. So pile them on, keep giving them to me. I'll keep choosing the Flatpak over and over and over again. They're just really, really good. And I keep finding myself in ecosystems that favor it. So Flatpak wins. Yay.
Woohoo.
So you got to let us know. Do you have an actual preference? Do you not care? Is it a snap only kind of situation for you, Flatpak only kind of situation for you, or both of those are bad? I just use app images and my repository. How do you get your applications? I would love to know. We can have
maybe you're just downloading the tar and compiling everything.
Yeah,
like an animal,
like a slacker.
Yeah,
got to run Slackware sometime in your life just to get a feel for how it used to be.
Yeah.
And then
it's Nix, and you're just doing the Nix, you're just pulling them in that way.
Oh, true. That's right. And then I don't know, Homebrew is growing on me a little bit. I do use it on Mac OS, and
Homebrew's nice.
It's just kind of it's just a quick hop, skip, and a jump to be using it on Linux as well, and you get the same experience. It's really kind of nice. I like it a lot. So, how do you get your apps? Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe use DistroBox. That's an option too. I've actually got some stuff going that way.
That's just repo with more steps.
It is. Yep. Anyway, you can catch all the links at linuxuserspace.show. And if you want to send us an email and give us a contact, you can contact us via contact@linuxuserspace.show. That'll send us an email. Or you can go to our webpage, and there is a Contact Us link that will also send us an email. Hopefully, if you do that, you can catch yourself on next time, which is a topic show.
That's right. We do read all the feedback, and we talk about some of the feedback on the show. So if you want to get that, whatever it is that's on your mind, onto the show, just send us an email. Unless you're those YouTube people that are like, let us get you more views. Those people can stop sending us emails. Yeah, I appreciate that.
We're good. I know we've got 89 episodes published, and yes, they're all great.
Is that even correct anymore? I don't think it's correct anymore. I think their bots are behind now.
They need to catch up. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I mean, and by the time this one publishes, will be yet another episode. So
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So anyway, yeah, those can stop, but you can send us your feedback. We'll take that. Anyway, next time will be a topic show, and you can stay tuned and catch us on the Reddit and the Twitter, and keep up with the Mastodon and Blue Sky, all those things. But whatever you do, join in on the conversation, and all the links and show notes will be on linuxuserspace.show.
That's right. That one topic that we talked about at the top of the show showed up in Lemmy Reddit and Discord. So if you know, you know.
Anyway, where can we find you, Leo?
You can always find me over at mastodon.social. I'm at Leo Chavez. You can also find me at the Blue Sky at leochavez.org. What about you?
You can find me at KC2BZ at mastodons.social, and you can find me...
And?
Yeah, okay. It's Monetary Abyss at the Blue Sky.
Okay. All right.
I'm
One of
still
these
there.
days, we'll get that text record in your DNS. We'll get it in there, and you'll have a cool name. I mean, you have a cool name.
I mean, like, which domain do I pick? That's the question.
That's actually a really good question.
Or do I need to get a new domain?
Okay.
Well,
all right.
I mean, there's an option as well. Right?
Hold on. I didn't know that was an option. I vote get a new domain.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to explore that option at some point. Yes.
Okay. All right.
See
Well,
what's
just a
out
quick
there.
text record, little copy paste, a little paste here, save, and then bingo bango, you got yourself a custom name over on Blue Sky.
That could be cool.
It could be, but you got to implement it first.
Anyway, you can always catch the show stuff at Linux User Space on all the platforms.
Everywhere.
So please do check it out. Anyway, come back in 2 weeks for more Linux User Space. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Yeah, I really am excited for this Thunderbird thing, man. Thundermail?
Well, now I'm really warming up to it, yeah.
I really, really want it.
Yeah, I might go over to the thing and sign up.
Oh, you can already sign up?
It says the email for Thundermail will be thundermail.com or TV Pro. Heading to thundermail.com, you will see a sign-up page for the beta wait list. Please add your name to it. So I click, and I'm working on it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! No, I'm putting this in right now. I'm gonna do it before you. Submit. No, Oh, it did it. Almost finished. You need to confirm your. Okay. I'm confirming. Confirming. No. I don't have the email there. No. Where's? Oh, my phone's up there. No. Okay.
I might win.
Oh, wait. No, I have it over here, I think. You might win. Oh,
I'm not a robot.
No. I see it now, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm in.
No.
Okay. We'll see what happens out of that.
Confirm humanity. I'm not a robot. Subscribe. Continue. All right. Cool. I'm on the list. How dare you beat me?